This is Ingram Angle from Washington tonight. We have a lot to get to, so let's dive right in. Speaking of Freedom Matters, the freedom problem. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Now, back in May of 2020, just a few months into the pandemic, the UN High Commissioner of Human Rights delivered what was actually a surprising warning.
When we restrict certain human rights because of a need like a natural cause or a pandemic like this one, it has to be, first of all, it has to be a clear need, it has to be proportionate to the need, and it has to have a time bound. It cannot be forever. We have seen that some governments are using it to shrink, to make even more shrink the civic space and the possibility of civil society to express, and that is unacceptable.
How prescient she was. 2 years later, with freedom convoys inspiring millions around the world, officials who thought they would never be held accountable are growing more desperate.
The Emergencies Act will be used to strengthen and support law enforcement agencies at all levels across the country. This is about keeping Canadians safe. These tools include strengthening their ability to impose fines or imprisonment. Financial institutions will be authorized or directed to render essential services to help address the situation by regulating and prohibiting the use of property to fund or support illegal blockades.
What would such a soft, pretty man ever know about keeping anyone safe? Not much. Weak and ineffective leaders don't change course even when COVID recedes, because I've said for almost 2 years now, this was never about the virus. It was about creating a compliant public. A compliant public that was kind of primed to obey the next lockdown order, no questions asked. The assaults on our basic liberties have been wide-ranging. School closures denied children quality education. That was the freedom to learn. Vax and mask mandates deprived us of our freedom to decide what we put into our own bodies. Stay-at-home orders destroyed small businesses while large corporations thrived. That was our freedom to work. Then big tech censorship, where YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, they acted as proxy speech police for the government, our freedom of expression. Anyone who didn't toe the Fauci line, even treating physicians and renowned researchers, were threatened. They were suspended, maligned, and even banned completely. Some lost their jobs. Calling something COVID misinformation gave the government carte blanche through their proxies to trample on free expression. Now, who will ever forget how Democrat governors let you shop together but not pray together? Churches shuttered, our freedom to worship halted. The experts never thought that faith was essential, but somehow they deemed that liquor stores were. So this anti-freedom coalition on the left even deployed intimidation squads in corporate and school settings with the goal of silencing employees and parents who spoke out. Now take this fascinating case of Jennifer Sey. She was an Elizabeth Warren supporter from the Bay Area who was forced out of her high-profile job merely for speaking out against school closures and lockdowns. Now, Ms. Sey, then president of Levi Strauss, felt passionately about the need for in-person schooling. She wrote, "I kept calling out hypocritical and unproven policies. I met with the mayor's office and eventually uprooted my entire life in California so that my kindergartner could finally experience real school." Well, back in March 2021, Jennifer appeared on The Angle.
Whether there's politics involved or not, I got to take care of my kid. And I want to help all kids because I realize I'm very lucky that I can pick up and come here. And I know not everyone has that opportunity, but I will tell you, families I know are scraping together everything they have to either go to private or move to a district or a state that's open, because at the end of the day, our kids need to be in school.
Now, she's a liberal. I'm a conservative. Her comments were entirely reasonable. But then she writes, that appearance on this show was the last straw. The head of diversity, equity, and inclusion at the company asked that I do an apology tour. I was told that the main complaint against me was that I was not a friend of the black community at Levi's. I was told to say that I am an imperfect ally. Well, then she said she refused to do any of that.
What can you buy with $1 US?
Bitcoin!
All your
Now, this woman was on track to be the CEO of a major company, a liberal with biracial children, canceled by the corporate mob. Think about that. So the left is so freaked out now because their COVID fortress of rules and edicts is collapsing before they had the chance, of course, to make their new normal permanent. They're so frantic that they're trying to stigmatize the word freedom. In other words, your freedom kills people, even when they're vaccinated.
I love how people talk about personal freedom. If you're exercising personal freedom puts someone else in jeopardy, their health in jeopardy. I don't consider that dealing with freedom.
Now, the mocking of freedom has been a thing of Biden's for a while now.
Two things that concern me. One are those who just try to make this a political issue. Freedom. I have the freedom to kill you with my COVID. No, I mean, come on, freedom.
Never heard a president, never thought I would hear a president say something like that. And the media picks it up and then repeats it with their own lame flourish. Now the message is to be afraid of those who want freedom.
What you've seen in Canada is others are fearful of these protesters who are arguing for freedom.
Now it's sort of generically anti-government, all wrapped in this sort of notion or the guise of freedom, whatever that means to these individuals.
But freedom for the rest of you to do and speak your mind? No, they don't want that. Here's the way the progs at the CBC describe the word. It's malleable and a term that thrives among far-right groups. Yet no matter the rubbish they say or publish about this freedom quest spreading across the globe now, the truth about what the powerful did these past 2 years is coming to the fore. It can't be that we live in a country where freedom only exists for the connected and wealthy, who can go maskless at the Super Bowl as third graders sweat it out in N95 masks in class in LA. But they'll always feel justified when they take away your freedom or when they skirt the rules. It's going to be that the roads are dangerous, the climate's warming, the variants are coming, and almost 6 years ago, it was that Trump was running. They had to stop him. Rules be damned. The left didn't think twice when they locked the children out of schools. And the Clinton campaign didn't think twice when they deployed internet spies in an effort to destroy Trump and nullify your vote. Even though the ends for them always justify the means, we know what was going on. And the press, they did too. But they didn't cover the stories that mattered. They covered them up. But here's the good news. The anti-freedom coalition is unraveling. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.